Tonight, a village in Saskatchewan is preparing to protest while a QAnon cult that's moved into their community is scheduled to hold a meet and greet this weekend. Also, the city of Regina is asking you to cheep, chirp, and flap about your favorite bird, the one you think best represents the Queen City.
Saskatchewan needs to be the place known for beer.
Plus, how farmers are helping grow Saskatchewan's craft beer industry in part one of From Plant to Pint.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, October 13th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A West Central Saskatchewan village where a QAnon cult has been staying is preparing to protest over the weekend. The residents of Richmound say they are scared of the group and their beliefs, and they want them to leave for good. Laura Sharpaletti has tonight's top story.
The energy in Richmound, Saskatchewan has been tense for nearly a month. In September, self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo, and a small group of followers moved into an old school in the village. At the time, residents held a peaceful protest, urging them to leave. The QAnon cult calls itself the Kingdom of Canada. Last week, it sent village administration at least 4 cease and desist emails. Town officials, including the mayor and the RCMP, were threatened with public execution if found guilty of what the cult calls crimes against humanity and treason.
We don't know exactly what their goal is, what their intentions are, and they're constantly threatening people. And it isn't just like minor things. They're talking about, lengthy talks about public executions and how they're going to hang people for things that are not crimes.
This doesn't end with the threats. Didulo and her group are holding a meet and greet on Saturday in Richmound. A Richmound resident who CBC has agreed not to name is scared.
There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of tension, and people aren't very happy right now. You start doing a deep dive into their realm, trying to figure out what they're all about, and the deeper you go, the scarier it gets.
Earlier this week, Richmound's Mayor Brad Miller posted a Facebook plea concerned this will become a permanent issue. Quote, "We need help and cannot do this alone. Please join us with people from neighboring communities for a respectful, legal demonstration." That protest will be held at the same time as the meet and greet and into Sunday. Village residents say they hope it sends a message to the cult as well as any new potential followers.
I'd really like to see these people leave. At the same time, I don't want to see another community have to deal with this. I really don't. It's not fun. It's not fair. Like, who starts putting cease and desist orders and execution lists out? How is that a thing that can happen?
Saskatchewan RCMP have a temporary mobile detachment in Richmound that's staffed 24/7. Police say they also have a safety plan for the weekend protest. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
The province's latest respiratory illness report out, and experts say it suggests cold and flu season is in full swing. On top of rhinovirus and RSV cases, there have been 270 COVID-positive lab tests so far this month. That's a nearly 20% increase from the end of last month. In the last 2 weeks, 131 people were hospitalized with the virus, 12 of them in the ICU. And 4 people died of COVID. While doctors say this report will never paint the clearest picture of the COVID situation in Saskatchewan, they do say it confirms what they've been seeing.
COVID is still here, still very much active. We're still seeing, those numbers at a reasonable positivity rate. And I think these numbers are consistent with what's happening across the country as well. So it's still there. And, my advice is, as it's always been, get vaccinated.
This week, other provinces like Alberta and Prince Edward Island have reinstated masking for some healthcare workers. Blondeau says lately, even though nothing is mandated here, he has seen healthcare professionals mask up anyways as well. The Supreme Court today declared a key component of the federal government's environment policy is unconstitutional. The Impact Assessment Act allows federal regulators to consider potential environment consequences of large infrastructure projects. Alberta had led the fight against it, and today, Premier Danielle Smith was celebrating, saying it had already hurt economic development.
Today's ruling represents an opportunity for all provinces to stop that bleeding, rebuild investor confidence, and attract those jobs back into our economies.
In a 5-2 opinion, the court said the law was too broad and infringed on provincial jurisdiction. Ottawa says only small changes will be needed to comply with the court's decision. Canadian Blood Services is desperately asking for donations in Saskatchewan. It said the need and distribution of blood is outpacing donations coming in. Saskatchewan hospitals are sent more than 450 units of blood per week to ensure there's enough for transfusions. Besides trauma and emergency care, blood and blood products are part of everyday medical care, including surgeries, procedures, cancer treatments, and managing diseases and disorders. CBS says roughly 690,000 people in our province are eligible to donate, but only a small fraction do, just over 2% of the population. To keep meeting the need, more than 2,000 people are needed to donate blood between now and November 1st in Regina and Saskatoon. If you want to donate and can, head to blood.ca to book your appointment. You have a chance to nominate what will become the official bird of the city of Regina. As Alexander Kwan reports, there may be some favorites, but things are still up in the air.
The city of Regina is on a hunt, a bird hunt, if you will. Not to catch a bird, but to pick a favorite. The city of Regina is challenging residents to vote to pick the bird that best represents the Queen City.
I think you're going to see the most common birds around Regina. I think there's some talk about Canada geese. There's some talk about blue jays and robins and red-winged blackbirds and all sorts of things. And everybody's got a take on it.
Some may think it's a bird-brained scheme, but here in Regina, there's a lot of fowl to choose from. Robins, pelicans, ducks, owls, and many others call this city home throughout the year. But when we hit the street to talk to residents, one name kept flying by.
You have to go with the geese.
You have to go with the geese? Is that, yeah? Why do you think that?
They're always here.
Well, these guys are the only ones that are around all the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, they stand out.
They're there, they're always making mess, right?
And it's always nap time for them.
What do you guys think the official bird should be?
Canadian geese, I think.
Canadian geese, yeah?
That's true.
It's an opinion shared by Trevor Harriott, a Regina naturalist, and he has the history to back it up.
It was really declining and in trouble in the mid-20th century until a few people like Fred Bard and Fred Larman in the city of Regina figured out a way to try to bring back the Canada goose, which is such an iconic North American and Canadian species, and they really succeeded. And some people don't like the amount of success they've had because, you know, they show up on golf courses and city parks and sometimes make a bit of a mess, and just people don't like that. But to me, it's a wonderful bird.
While there's plenty of public support behind the Canada goose, it's not leading the flock just yet. There's still plenty of time to make a flap about another bird. Nominations are open until October 22nd. The top 5 will be decided by a panel of local bird experts. Then residents get to weigh in by vote. The official bird will be declared January 5th, National Bird Day. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Well, it may not have been a sunny day in Regina, but it was a comfortable one. Certainly nice enough for people and their animals to get outside and spend some time in the park. So what are we looking for as we head into the weekend? Ethan, we'll have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're out and about this weekend, don't be surprised if the sky suddenly gets a bit darker. A partial solar eclipse is set to happen tomorrow morning, and if you're in Saskatoon, the Meewasin Valley Authority is inviting people to safely view the eclipse.
So Meewasin is going to be holding a dark skies event, we like to call it, over at Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan from 9:20 to 11:50. We do encourage people to be there at least for 10:30 because that's when the maximal eclipse is going to occur. And there will be telescopes in place so people can get a little bit of a closer look at it, as well as glasses that we will be giving out to protect our eyes from the eclipse.
The moon is actually just a little bit smaller, so it won't fully cover the sun. So even at the peak of the eclipse, which is quite a ways to the south of us, there will be a ring visible the entire eclipse.
If you're in Regina, the Royal Astronomical Society will be holding an event at the Saskatchewan Science Centre starting at 9. And if you missed this one, a total solar eclipse will happen in April of next year.
This weather update is brought to you by Titan Automotive, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. And of course, the big question, will it be clear enough to see the eclipse?
Yeah, exactly. I know people are probably a little nervous after today, cloudy skies in Regina, Saskatoon, but the good news is I think things will be clearing out. And just in case you're wondering, here's a look at just how covered the sun is going to be. This is courtesy of our friends at CBC Graphics who've put this together. Regina, Saskatoon will probably be in that 40 to 50% range. Regina with just a bit better coverage of the sun there, but of course we won't see a total eclipse. And as you heard Samantha Lawler mention there, even if you're in the area of near totality, you'll still kind of see that ring of fire, that kind of that sun around the edge of the moon. You also heard Jared Tournier there from Meewasin talking about the time of kind of the best time that this is going to be happening, the time that the sun is going to be most covered, around 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, but that starts for most of us around 9:20. And the eclipse kind of finishes up as we head toward the noon hour or so. Now, will it indeed be sunny enough? Well, I think we're starting to see those clouds start to thin out through the province this afternoon. We did see a little bit of sunshine here in Saskatoon, in fact, this afternoon. Western sections of the province definitely is where we're starting to be seeing that move in a little bit. And I think that clearing just going to continue to happen as we head through the night tonight. For eastern sections around Yorkton and Melville, there may be a few kind of just light pop-up showers through the night, but into tomorrow morning, we're going to start to see that move out a little bit. By 10 a.m., by almost maximum eclipse time, I think that's mostly going to be light cloud cover, and even in the areas in eastern Saskatchewan, I think we will see at least a little bit of sunshine. Through the weekend, generally just some passing light cloud cover, and overall I think things will be mostly sunny for us. Now, we've had a nice couple of days here where the winds have died down a bit. Western sections of the province, we'll see those start to pick up a bit in the 40 to 50 range tomorrow from the south and southeast. Saskatoon, I wouldn't even rule you out from seeing some stronger gusts tomorrow afternoon, maybe getting close to 50. Sunday, things still breezy, but overall not looking too bad in terms of winds. Now, things will continue to be quite warm. This ridge of warmer air still over much of the prairie provinces and even extending into the Northern Territories as well, where near record weather temperature conditions continue in that part of the country. And that ridge really not going anywhere. It does break down a little bit, but still central and southern Saskatchewan, we're still to the south of the jet stream. So that means that nice warm air still likely going to be sticking around for us. You'll see that here in our extended forecast in Regina, where tomorrow, again, I've called it a sun-cloud mix for Regina. I think that's mostly what we'll be staying at. A little bit breezy on Sunday as the clouds continue to clear. Could get close to 20 degrees on Tuesday. A very nice day with a little bit of breezy conditions on Wednesday, and even a bump up again in temperatures by the end of next week. And Saskatoon will see that as well. The only difference is our next best chance of showers for the area could come on Tuesday, looking for some gusty conditions Thursday, Friday. So maybe a Friday the 13th in October, Sam, but nothing ominous about this forecast.
No, not at all. It's going to be beautiful. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
What do I see when I look at a craft beer made in Saskatchewan?
I guess I would see a product that someone has put a lot of time and energy and passion into.
Through their crops, farmers are helping grow the craft beer industry in our province. Coming up after the break, the first piece in our three-part series about Saskatchewan's craft beer industry, the creative people behind it, and its impact on communities. Stay with us for From Plant to Pint. We'll be back after the break.
When it comes to your news, we want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
Over the past 10 years, craft beer has exploded in Saskatchewan. We now see every aspect of the industry in our province, from hop farmers to brewers to can designers. In a new series, we're exploring the local craft beer industry, from plant to pint. We begin in the fields.
We are pretty lucky to spend a lot of time with this backdrop, right? Like in seeding and harvest, I'm looking out at usually a pretty great sunset most nights.
Matt, when you look out here, what do you see?
Well, I see some really tall barley rustling in the wind, which is, you asked me if barley was sexy. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? One of the things I really wanted to capture was that fantastic quality that we could produce here in the Sask Valley that my dad had spent years kind of perfecting. From the breeding to the farming to the malting, like our ecosystem here, there's nothing stopping us from being a world-class beer producer.
What do I see when I look at a craft beer made in Saskatchewan? Well, I'm obviously thinking about the ingredients and I'm thinking about the person that brewed the beer.
I see many hands that have made it. And I think right back to the field, right grain to glass, there's a lot of different value add points that touch it.
I guess I would see a product that someone has put a lot of time and energy and passion into, a lot of work. You think about all the way down the chain of the farmers growing the barley, the malters malting the barley, everything that needs to happen before we even get the products to make the beer.
I see the labor of my friends.
What I really see in a craft beer now is the people behind it, whether it's the craft breweries and the brewers, the farmer, like my dad.
You think about all the hands, you think about all the opportunities, and you think of the sorts of stories that we can tell about ourselves. And that's what I see when I look at a glass of beer.
A lot of times I might just think, boy, that looks good. I'm Matt Entz. I'm the co-founder of Maker's Malt, located here in Rostern, Saskatchewan. Growing up as a kid, my dad said to me quite a few times, "You're just not a farmer." And you're not sure quite how to take that one. Still not. This barley is just about heading. You kind of go through a bit of growing up and life, and of course I did university work somewhere else, and you realize like there is a lot of beauty in being out in nature most days, seeing the crop every year kind of have this like renewal, like we all love spring, right? Well, farmers, like that's what we feel, like the crop's growing, like it's coming. So here's some barley that we just pulled out of the tank. It's growing just like it would in the field. Lots of rootlets going down. The biggest thing is we malt barley and other grains. And what malting is the reason behind it. You need to modify the starches in the kernels so that they're accessible to our brewers, our distillers, and our bakers. And so the complex carbohydrates are very locked into the kernel. If I just gave someone barley from the field, it wouldn't work.
Can you list some of the beers that have your ingredients in them?
Oh man, like we've probably had malt in every brewery at one time or the other in Saskatchewan, I believe. There's some that are really core customers that use us for pretty much all their malt supply.
I say quite often that beer is the wine of the prairies. It's a libation that we produce from what we grow right here in our backyard. My name's Jeff Alport. I'm the founder, owner of Nokomis Craft Ales, based here in Nokomis, Saskatchewan. We have a couple of maltsters, both small and large, here in the province. We're happy to source from both of them. Barleys and other cereals are major crops here in Saskatchewan. I feel like beer is so connected to our agricultural community here that it really just makes sense, right? That we want to reflect where we live. We want our product to be something connected to where we live. Using what we grow right here is really essential to adhere to that. When we do use fruit, we go to our friends and neighbors. We exclusively use fruit that's grown here in Saskatchewan, so you won't be seeing any mango beers coming out of Nokomis anytime soon. You're more likely to see Saskatoon, currant, cherry connecting us to our time and place.
My name is Sean Moen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of 9 Mile Legacy Brewing in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. From the time I could drive, I was hauling durum from the field to the bin for Dad and Grandpa. And I remember thinking 14 years, 15 years, 16 years old, like, we're growing all of this raw product and we're not doing anything with it. We're shipping it in rail cars and it's being processed out of the province, and that really frustrated me. 9 Mile Legacy is a story of our 2 family farms located 9 miles apart in the southwest corner of the province. 2 century farms. Every generation of Moens and Petersons have found ways to work together. Using Saskatchewan agricultural product was a no-brainer. I mean, barley particularly, we grow the best barley in the world. We can make world-class beer with it.
Brewers from around the world know about Saskatchewan barley. I'm super excited to brag about it and talk about it. My name is Matthew Barton. I'm the communications guy for Rebellion.
Is barley sexy?
Saskatchewan barley is sexy. When I say Saskatchewan barley is sexy, I mean it is world class.
I think in the craft beer industry, hops have been sexy. You know, malt has been that like backbone that you need, but maybe you don't jump on the marketing, or it doesn't jump out on the flavor profile as quite as sexy as hops in the past. You know, I think there's some advent for change. Like, once in a while, we will have people talk malt and talk about what it's doing to their beer. And I think, you know, the more we can talk about that, the more the public understands it and can appreciate it.
You know how you talk about France and their wine industry, Italy with their pasta? Saskatchewan needs to be the place known for beer. There's Saskatchewan barley in our beer, and it's winning gold medals. And you don't win gold medals with terrible inputs. You're winning with the best ingredients, and thankfully Saskatchewan has it.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
I'm a little thirsty after that. I might have to grab a beer and a pinhole projector and head out and see the a beautiful eclipse happening tomorrow. But before then, we have some overnight temperatures to talk about. Let's take a look at what we're going to be seeing in Regina at midnight. 3 degrees under those mainly clear skies, and that likely going to be sticking around as we head into the morning hours. A little bit of increasing cloudiness and the winds picking up just a bit, but just in time for the eclipse to reach its maximum, and we get into the afternoon. We're looking for those clouds to clear. 10 degrees is what we'll be at. Saskatoon, I think, again, we'll see a mostly clear night. Nice temperature around 2 degrees. We don't budge much at all, actually, in terms of our temperatures tomorrow morning, and as we get into the afternoon, a little bit of increasing cloudiness, winds a little breezy, but the sky's clearing after that, Sam. So going to be a very nice weekend ahead.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it for us this week. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask, subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. We'll be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thank you for watching, and have a great weekend.